Thanks for inviting me into your home. Talk to me, and for those who don't know about your foundation, first about your foundation.
Sure, our foundation is education focused, and we wanted to feed, today in today's world, I think most education today for the young people are driven by media, right? People learn everything by film, TV, 5-second clips on TikTok, on YouTube, and so we want to be a foundation that educates the next generation by doing the same thing, but most importantly with our values. So we have strong family community values, and we wanted to sort of bring that to the next generation. I know that maybe differs from some things. I used to work in, well, I still do. I still work in Hollywood, and I still work in film and TV, and the values that come out of Hollywood are extremely different than our values. And so we wanted to have a different approach, because all the media today that's generated is traditionally centered around one thought, and we wanted to take the other side.
And at what point do you sit down and you say, okay, I want to start a foundation, and at what point does it become a reality for you?
I think it became a reality. I took a look back at myself and all the films that I was developing and creating, and everything that I was doing was based on true stories and education. And I thought, wow, this is, I don't know any of my other colleagues that are just focused on doing this. Most people who are doing true stories are, doing documentaries or docudramas, not doing narrative film. Once in a while, somebody will do a true story. And I thought, maybe it's time to create. I had an idea for a media-focused foundation, and I think this sort of, started it, and it became all-encompassing. And after we launched the foundation, it sort of grew into other things, but all focused around education.
Right. And when you obviously have a big event coming up, when you put together an event like this, how challenging is it? Because you mentioned, the attention spans and clips, and it's funny because we're sitting here and I'm going to interview you, and it's going to go out in long form. What's long form? 15 minutes these days. But I'm going to sit down and I'm going to edit this down into 30-second to 1.5 minute.
Which is even, I think, too long, 1.5 minutes.
Which is too long, right? A minute and 30.
This is crazy today how that is.
Yeah. So how challenging has it been? I know that this is year 3, right? For this?
Yeah, actually, not, there has been some challenging things,
Sure.
but not, and I'll not get to that, right?
Yeah.
But it sort of took on a life of its own. We didn't plan this. This sort of just happened. Year 1, we just wanted to, as a family, just throw a thank you party to the local police and their families, and have them over and have a barbecue for them and all their kids, and have fun things for them to do, and really get to know our community a little better. And it was such an incredible turnout that I got so many calls from police officers. Oh my God, Nick, my kids had the best time. I had the best time. The cops were acting like the kids, and we got such great feedback. And I had just started the foundation, and I looked at my wife. I said, what if we make it bigger next year and invite the public? And with everything going on with the defund the police movement, and everyone out there hating the police, think they're horrible, awful, racist people, I really wanted a perspective of the community to get to know their local police officers. Because when I grew up, I knew my local cops. Most people knew their local beat cops. And today, the world's become a little more transient, and so nobody knows them. And then if you don't know somebody, you may sort of create an idea about somebody, that the media tells you to think about.
Sure.
Now we're back to the media. And so I thought, wouldn't it be great for the community to get to know their local cops and realize they're just like us, right? Actually, they're, first of all, men are kids, and they're cops acting like this, and they're on the water slides, and they're on the zip lines, and they're doing the fun stuff. And so we decided to let's just keep it local, but we want to include the communities that are important to us. We live in Harrison, Purchase, and we did the first year for Harrison, but we spent half our lives in White Plains, whether it's going to the gym or the doctor. And so let's include White Plains. and we reached out to them and we included my kids, and then we said, well, why don't we charge the outside people to come meet them, and the money that we raise we can give to scholarships. And we decided to focus on scholarships for police officers for multiple reasons. One, I used to be a police officer myself. I was a police officer in LA for a couple of years, and now in Louisiana, and that's a little bit of a complicated story. But I also felt that kids today, if you're poor and you need financial aid, there's financial aid for you. Cops are making, let's say they make $100,000 a year with overtime. It's very challenging for someone making $100,000 a year to get any kind of financial aid. But college is $60,000 a year. How are you paid $60,000 a year and living on after taxes and work? But what if you have a lot of these guys have 2 or 3 kids going to college? And so they're all, I mean, I don't think it's fair. They all are stuck just going to local colleges or community schools. You know, what do they want to go, to a Harvard or a Syracuse or an Emory or Vanderbilt or Tulane, or Swarthmore or Vassar. It doesn't have to be, or Colby. It could be a private school. It doesn't have to be an elite private, but maybe they find something better at a private school that's not, or a public school that's out of state. They want to go to UNC or UCLA or Florida State. With travel and living, that it's $50,000-$60,000 a year. And so, and nobody's supporting them, especially with today's environment. And so we decided to bring that in and make it part of our foundation last year. And we had a great turnout and a great event. I think, and now we've grown this year to include Greenwich because our kids go to school in Greenwich, Connecticut. And so this is really our community that affects our family the most, and we want to have that impact. I think where everything has sort of grown really rapidly, quite easily. What has been challenging for us is that although I grew up in the community, I left the community when I was 18. I live now in my grandparents' home and my family place, which used to be my grandparents, and so our family's been here forever. But I just got back 3 years ago, and I'm 49 now. So for the last 30 years, I didn't build any relationships here. I don't know anybody, and so for me, I think that's the challenge is reaching out to a brand new community for me, and especially, Harrison, I have a little more, I've known a few people for some time to reach out, but White Plains is relatively new, and Greenwich is very new for me because my kids are going to school there. And so I think that is a challenge, being able to reach out to families and parents, across these 3 towns and building my network. So I'm relatively new, so we're just building our network. So I think that's really been challenging. I think we're gonna have a massive event. We've got, over 40 different booths, people coming to promote their restaurants, or little kids can get their hairs and nails done. And it's a really fun experience. I just hope we're gonna have enough people to come and enjoy it.
Right. And at what point do you start planning something? You have a lot of crazy things going on that I want to just, as a Met fan, long-suffering Met fan, who at 10 years old, I wish that I knew that they were never going to win another World Series ever again.
Listen, don't say ever again.
Okay, let's just say for a while.
Yeah.
Anyway, you have Doc Gooden, you have Darryl Strawberry. That's just for the baseball standpoint, but a lot of moving parts to this thing. When do you plan it?
Yeah, it just grew. I think we planned it like 2 months ago, 3 months ago.
Really?
We start.
Okay.
All the vendors, a lot of them are the same vendors.
Okay.
But we've grown. Like this year, last year I think we had maybe 20 booths. This year we've doubled in booths. But that, we've built new relationships. We've met new people. We have a new executive director who's helped us out. And so as we build, we're able to grow all that. But I would say we probably should have started planning 6 months ago, but out of the wire and last minute. But I think this is, all learning. We're learning through this process. And
just for people who are like, what are these 2 guys talking about? Tell me a little bit about the event. Is it the 20th?
Well, I think the coolest things are that for any Mets or even Yankee fans, because people forget that Dwight Gooden and Darryl Strawberry played for the New York Yankees as well. Actually, Doc threw a no-hitter for the Yankees, not for the Mets.
Yep.
So and the reason we wanted to include them, first, I love baseball. I built, you can go take a look after, a full-size baseball field here in the back.
It's amazing.
And I thought, you go to these charities and you can go play golf with Mariano Rivera, or you can play golf with, you know, some football player or whoever, but I don't want to play baseball with Mariano Rivera. I don't want to play golf with Dwight Gooden or Darryl Strawberry. I want to go and play baseball with them, right? That was your dream as a kid. That was your fantasy, right? That's why we all were kids. And so we had made this thing where the VIPs can come and get batting practice off of Dwight Gooden, or get, you know, the kids can get some baseball tips off Darryl and get to meet their childhood stars, you know. And I think little kids would like it too, because, you know, they may not know who they are. Their fathers will take them down and say, hey, this is who we loved growing up, and these are real major league stars, and getting their picture. And I think that was the impetus of that, getting that going. But we wanted to have sort of events for everybody. So we have, we brought in, we're bringing in, let's say, 75-foot water slide, I think a 50-foot water slide, dunk tanks where you can dunk the chief of police. We have mechanical bowls. We have a 250-foot zip line out there. This will be pony rides for little kids. There's an orchard we have to be apple picking at the orchard. And we'll have a 200-foot slip and slide for even smaller kids, and a little bounce water little park bounce castle for like 2 and 3 year olds. We have a pizza truck. We have an ice cream truck. We have a band. We have a whole hot dog and hamburger barbecue. We have liquor sponsors and tequila booths and wine booths, and everything is free. You know, so I think it is. And there's a lot. I'm sure I'm missing a ton of other things that are attractions that are here, and games for the kids and prizes and the whole thing. But it's a fun day at the park, right? And so cops and their immediate families are invited to come for free, and the outside, all kids come free. Parents have to pay, but they're not paying like going to Wright Playland. It's a donation, right. So it's the majority of it is a write-off for them, and it pays for itself because of the amount of food and drink and activities that they're going to have, and it's an incredible day. And at the end of the day, I mean, they can write it off. So
right, and I mean that experience with Dwight Gooden and Darryl Strawberry, not to go back, but I mean that's priceless, right? I mean you can't.
And there, you know, and I don't know Darryl very well. I've met him once. Yeah. I've gotten to build a relationship with Doc over the years. Yeah. I gotta tell you, he's one of the nicest guys. Yeah. The most easygoing. You want a picture, throw a ball. Yeah. He'll give you throwing tips and all. I mean, he's incredible. Yeah.
At what point do you?
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I don't know if you know, but this year is very important for Doc and Darryl. Yeah. You know, because they both retired their numbers. Yep.
At what point do you sit down and start planning the next one? And do you have other events too, like throughout the year, like smaller events, obviously?
Sure. So we were doing, and we're sort of debating what we're going to do this year. But we usually in the winter time we call our speaker series. Okay. And we try to bring in somebody from sort of the media or celebrity or some sort of people that's been in the world of media to come to our community. You know, I think with my relationships, being in that world, being able to bring people in, I think the first year we had Dr. Alveda King, who's Martin Luther King's niece. She came. We invited her to come speak to the kids at Sacred Heart here in Greenwich during Martin Luther King week, and then we sort of had what I like to call a living room conversation. Parents could meet her and talk to her, and that would be a sort of a donor event too, and to raise money for the foundation for our speaker series. That became overly political last year, or 2 years ago, and so we tried to be a little apolitical this year, and we brought in Vera Wang, who's a world famous wedding dress designer, and we brought him to be a speaker. Again, our relationship was at Sacred Heart because our daughter goes to school there right now, and we did the same with her. I think we're struggling to figure out, who to bring this year. Along what kind of terms and topics. We may do something this year. We may take a break. I'm not sure yet. Cool. It'll be up to my wife runs the foundation, so I think she'll decide. And we just had a new baby, so she's extremely overwhelmed.
I want to ask you probably the first question I should have asked you last, because you had said that you have roots in this community. You left for a little while. You're back. So last question first is tell me a little bit about you. For people who are just this guy's having a kick-ass, party at his place with baseball stars and like slip and slides and all this amazing food and booze and everything. But for those who kind of just think you have a cool foundation and like a cool event, like, who are you?
So, my name is Nick Loeb. I grew up in this community. I grew up here. My kids are fully fifth generation. Harrison, Burgess Harrison. And when I grew up here, we used to call this the country. I think now it's called the suburbs.
Mm-hmm.
And
Or if you live in Brooklyn, it's upstate.
Right? Right. If you live in Brooklyn, it's upstate. So, but I loved it. I left to go to college when I was 18. Went to Tulane University. I went out to California. I was in the film business for many years and lived between Florida and in California. And I've been an entrepreneur and a filmmaker for the majority of my life, and in all different types of businesses, from food, and we have our own wine, to we're building solar and farms and vegetable farm. So all over the place. I have 3 beautiful children and an amazing wife who runs our foundation, and I'm just very happy, thankful, and grateful to God for all that He's given me.
And I love that you're giving back. It's cool because like when you said that about like defund the police and all that stuff, it's just we go to such extremes on both sides, right? And I like that it's literally just hanging with the police at like.
It's just chilling, hanging, and supporting them. It's not about picketing or rioting and this and that and all. It's about supporting the human beings and your local, and really, we're not looking to grow to be a national, foundation. We just want to support the people who protect us and support us as a family.
It's like old school vibes on steroids. That's what you got going on.
That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to be very old school, and we don't do it. To be honest, we didn't do. I could have done some publicity. I haven't done it. I didn't really want to do it, but and I'll do some local stuff. But I want to get more people there because I want to raise more dollars, because I want to be able to give out more scholarships. And we gave a $25,000 scholarship this year to a young man who's a son of a Harrison police officer. But I'd like to do more next year.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks, Nick.
I appreciate your time.
Awesome.